Hi, welcome to Finding Stuff Out. I'm just getting over a sore throat, and gargling with salt water seems to help. It's like having my own little ocean. Speaking of that, here's a question from Vito.
Are sea monsters real?
The Flat Earth Corner!
Are sea monsters real? Well, landlubber, if you're a 16th century sea dog like me, you know they are. I haven't seen one myself, but my best friend's captain's daughter has, like the Kraken. A Kraken wraps its giant tentacles around a ship and eats every last sailor down to the bone. Then there's the Greenland sea serpent, its ferocious head taller than a ship's crow's nest. And the sea orb that can gobble up an entire vessel and its crew. Scary enough to have you running for the poop deck. Yes, the sea is full of monsters. Just ask my first mate's brother's neighbor's midshipman who knows somebody that got scuppered up by one. Ah!
Hundreds of years ago, sailors saw strange things in the sea and thought that they were sea monsters.
Today we know that the Kraken was probably just a giant squid, but pictures of a living giant squid were taken only a few years ago. The ocean is so big.
We still don't know all the creatures that live down there, but I can confirm for you, Vito, that there is at least one sea monster. Today, I'm gonna answer all your questions about the ocean, and by the end of the show, I'll show you that monster.
Street Smarts!
Whenever I'm at the Sea Aquarium, there's always one question I want to find out. So, do you guys think that sea monsters are real?
No. No. Yes. Not really.
So, do you think sea monsters are real?
No.
What about your bathtub? There's sea monsters in there, right?
No.
If they did exist, what do you think they would look like?
Well, it could be green or maybe gray from the water it's been in and the pollution.
A big blob, yeah.
A big blob?
A dark color, like green or black, and have sharp teeth.
Sharp teeth. That's pretty scary. So what do you think a sea monster would sound like? That's pretty good.
Yep.
Nice.
Personally, I think the sea monster would look something like this. Scary. Time for another question.
Why is the ocean salty?
The short answer is... because there's salt in it? I kid. But you're probably wondering how the salt got in there. And it turns out the ocean doesn't start out salty. Here's what I found out. Beautiful clear spring water flows down from the lakes and the rivers down to the ocean. I like to think of it as clear juice.
On its trip to the ocean, water moves over soil and rocks, which have salt in them. The water drags the salt into the ocean.
Say this glass of water was the ocean. Then it has this much salt in it. That might not sound like a lot, but if you take all the salt out of the ocean, it will cover the earth up to the height of a 40-story building.
Wow.
With all the salt in this water, you might be wondering, who'd drink this stuff? But that's exactly what Dakota wants to find out.
How do fish drink?
To find out more about fish and how they drink, please welcome my special guest biologist, Dr. Adam Brown.
Hey, Arson.
Hi.
How you doing?
Good.
So I hear you want to know how fish drink.
Yeah, I asked my fish how he drank, but he just said...
So I guess you don't really speak fish then.
No, not really. So how do fish drink? Is it out of a straw or a glass?
Well, actually, fish don't really drink in the same way that we do.
Okay.
Mostly because they're bathing in water, right? So water either moves in or out of them on its own, and that's a process that we call osmosis.
Okay.
Which basically means that water tends to move towards areas that are saltier. And so, depending on where the fish will live in the world, it'll either always have to take on water or always have to get rid of water.
So can you show us how all this works?
Well, yeah, exactly. I've got a great example for this using a simple potato.
The experiment.
So what I've done is I've cut up some potato slices here that I'm gonna be our sort of pretend fish. And I'm gonna put these pretend fish into the two types of water that we have on Earth, salt water and fresh water.
Okay.
Right?
I think I have just the thing.
Okay.
That's not it. Oh, not that again. Oh, here it is. Okay. So we can have potato fish.
All right, let's make some potato fish here.
It's a new species of fish called potato fish.
Yeah. There we go. Potato fish
Number
one would be in the ocean.
Okay.
And potato fish number two.
He gets to be in fresh water.
That's right. Okay, so let's put the salt water here on the ocean fish.
Okay.
Let's put the fresh water here in the lake or the river fish.
Okay. So what's going to happen to these potato fish?
Well, you remember I said that water moves in and out of organisms on its own based on osmosis, and it always goes to where it's saltier, right? Well, here what we have is a potato fish in salty water. So that potato fish is less salty than the water around it, meaning the water is going to move out of the potato fish into the salt water. And here what we have is the potato fish is in fresh water. It is actually saltier than the water around it.
So the water's going to
The water's going to move in. That's what we expect to happen.
So what you're saying is,
If the saltwater fish didn't drink, it would shrivel up.
There's the stuff.
And freshwater fish absorb all the water that they need. So if they drank any more, they'd pee a lot.
Well, yeah, that's exactly right. Either they pee a lot or they're going to end up exploding with all of that water in there.
so how are the potatoes doing?
Well, they're not quite ready. We still have to wait a little.
I hate waiting. I have an idea. That's better.
Okay, well, we should be just about ready by now. Let's have a look and see what's happened. So we take our freshwater fish here and our saltwater fish here, and they're quite different from one another. I don't know if you can see it. This saltwater fish is definitely much smaller than the freshwater fish now, and it's squishier and kind of gross feeling. I don't know if you want to touch that. I wouldn't, but now that you do. So this one's softer.
It's like mushy and that one's not.
This one's firm. So this has confirmed what we expected to happen, is that because this freshwater fish is saltier than the water has moved in, and it got bigger and it got firm. Whereas here, the saltwater fish is less salty than the water around it. So the water's moved out and it's gotten all small and squishy and slimy.
So you think with all the fish in the ocean, they would drink it all. Here's another question.
How big is the ocean?
Let's see. Most of the Earth is covered by water. Ocean rhymes with potion. Circumference of the Earth equals 40,000 kilometers. Carry the sphere. Remainder. You're gonna make my head explode!
I'm glad Adam is here to answer, because as far as I know, the ocean is ginormous big. Is that right, Adam?
That's right, it is pretty ginormous. And I can see it's hard to get your head around sometimes, given what you just went through. But I've got a picture here I brought that might help illustrate this. Have a look at this. And what we have here is...
The carpet.
Well, it's hard to tell what it is, but do you see this pale blue dot right here?
Oh, that thing?
That's the Earth.
What?
Yep, that's the Earth taken from 6 billion kilometers away. And from that distance, we call it the pale blue dot. Well, because it's a pale blue dot. But why do you think that is? Because of the water.
Oh, okay.
Right. So even when we look at the Earth from a little bit closer, like here, you start to recognize it a bit more.
Yeah.
And we call it the blue planet from this distance, but you can really see the oceans here. And you can even see that there's another form of water on the Earth, and you can see the clouds, right? And they're made of water too. So when you look at it on this level, you can really see that there's more than twice as much water than there is land on Earth.
Wow.
So there's a lot.
The ocean is so big that if we divided it up into swimming pools, then it would be enough water for everyone on Earth to have 75,000 pools each. Sweet, right?
I'd tell you how many toilets it equals, but it's in the quadrillions, and you don't want to think about diving into that. Here's another question.
Why does water make stuff float?
So we know that rocks sink and feathers float, but what about huge ships? They float, and it's a good thing they do, because they transport things all around the world for us. So why do things float, Adam?
Yeah, well, that's a really good question. And to help illustrate the answer, I'm going to use these two familiar objects. Relatively similar in size, even though one is a bit bigger than the other. We have our lemon and the citrus cousin, the lime. So what I'm going to do, put the lemon in the water, what happens?
It floats.
It floats. So we're going to put the smaller one in, and what do you expect to happen?
It should float, or not.
But it doesn't. So what's happening here? Well, the answer lies in the word called density. These objects are different densities, which essentially means that they have different amounts of air inside them. So in an object that has more air inside of it, it'll be
Float.
less dense, and so it'll float. And so the opposite being that if it has less air inside, it's more dense, and then what happens?
It sinks
It
like the lime.
sinks.
Who knew? Well, I guess you did because you just showed me. But I think we should put all this to the test in... Today, my great challengers are Cameron and Benji. Woo! Okay, today your great challenge is to take a ball of plasticine like this and try to make it float. Another thing you have to do is once you have it floating is to get it from one end of the pool to the other without using your hands. But you have these fans to help you.
Can we make the ball of plasticine any shape we want?
Well, yeah, actually, whatever floats your boat.
Okay, are you ready?
Yeah!
Get set, go! Benji's flattening his plasticine, and Cameron's making his round.
Can you give it a shot?
Ah, it looks like Cameron's plans were sunk.
So that one didn't work.
Are they getting the right idea here?
Well, it looks like they're on the right track. Remember we were talking about the limes before and the lemons, and that was sort of a question of buoyancy and how much air is inside? Well, this is a bit of a different situation. It's more like the object and the water are pushing against each other. So what you want to do is you want to have like a push of war rather than a tug of war, and you want the water to win, so to push it up to the surface. And,
Sunk right.
getting there, I think, though. I guess as well, you want the water to stay under the plasticine and not to get
Yeah.
on top of it, too. That would make a big difference.
Cameron, trying again. Watch out for the Kraken. Benji, testing out his plasticine.
Maybe you could think like a boat or a canoe, right? Because they have edges that come up so that the water doesn't come in as well.
Of course, you can't have holes in your boat either.
Yeah, well, that's right.
That's what I'm working on.
So why do you think they're having such a hard time getting their plasticine to float?
Well, I think one of the reasons is because you chose a very difficult challenge today, but really I think it's a question of making sure that the weight of the boat spreads itself out as much as possible over the surface of the water, and that's really tricky to do. That's a nice flat pancake.
Yeah.
Place it really gently.
Oops. This water got on top of it, right?
That's right. Okay, we're back to the canoe form over here. If you can try and make a lily pad here,
Maybe
that might be a good strategy. And you're gonna have to put that in the water
That's
really
pretty
carefully,
good.
though.
Looks like a pan almost.
Looks
I
like
think
a
he's
raft.
getting really close there. Let's see.
And it floats.
Oh, he has it. Look at it go.
No!
Cameron's boat floats because it weighs less than the water it pushes out of the way.
Looks like the lily pad was successful.
Looks like Cameron's our winner.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Right.
Uh-oh. Do try this at home. Okay, so here's an experiment you can do at home. All you have to have is 2 glasses of fresh tap water. Then, with one of the glasses of the fresh tap water, put some salt in it and stir it up. And now, since salt water is more buoyant than fresh water, you take some eggs, you put the egg in the fresh water, it sinks, and in the salt water, it floats. Now it's time for another question. This one's from James.
What's the deepest anyone has ever gone into an abyss?
James, I looked up what an abyss actually is, and it turns out it's a really deep pit in the ocean. It's so deep, they gave it a really deep name. It's called Challenger Deep. If you took the tallest mountain on Earth, Mount Everest, and threw it into Challenger Deep, it would still be covered by like 3 Eiffel Towers of water.
Oh.
The deepest anyone has ever gone is when 2 guys went to the bottom of Challenger Deep. Did you ever dive down deep in a pool and your head started to feel squeezed? That's pressure from all the water above you. In the deep ocean, the pressure is so strong, we need to go down in submarines, or our heads would implode.
That means it gets smaller. Like this. Check out these weird creatures that live down there, but don't implode.
These fish have to have some pretty cool adaptations to survive there. That means their bodies have changed to allow them to live down there.
Because it's dark, some of them have bigger eyes,
Or can even make their own light. They're totally freaky looking.
but not as scary as this next question from David.
Why do sharks die if they stop moving?
Sharks? They're scary, especially with this music. So to find out the answer to your question, David, I'm gonna meet one. I'm so scared.
But at least I didn't actually have to swim with one, like marine specialist Nicole Can does all the time at the aquarium.
So Nicole, what are you gonna do today?
I'm gonna go for a swim with these sharks.
But they're sharks!
Well, yeah, they're not as scary as everybody thinks they are. What is the scariest part of their body to you, Harrison?
Well, they're sharks and they have big teeth and they'll eat you and they're gonna hurt you.
Okay, let's talk about the teeth for a second. Granted, sharks have some pretty impressive chompers,
Yeah.
but they used to be a lot bigger. Do you want to see a tooth?
Sure.
Okay. This is actually a mold of the biggest shark's tooth we've ever found. It's about as big as your head.
It is as big as my head, pretty much.
And this was called the megatooth shark, but it's been extinct for a really long time. Nowadays, they have much smaller teeth. In fact, this is a real black-tip reef shark tooth from the sharks I'm gonna go swimming with.
So small.
Yeah. And it's perfectly designed for eating fish, not people.
That's good. So let's answer David's question. Do sharks die if they stop moving?
Some of them could. The black-tip reef sharks in here, the big ones, if they stop moving, they're not passing water over their gills, so they're not getting any oxygen. Basically, they stop breathing. But some sharks can actually do all of that and pass that water over their gills even while they're staying still, so they can hang out at the bottom and have a little bit of a rest.
But they're still really scary. What if they come to my house and eat me?
They're not gonna do that. Are you a sick or dying fish?
Definitely not.
Then they're not gonna eat you. These are top predators out in the ocean, but they have a really important job to do in their ecosystem. They eat the sick, the injured, or the dying prey items. And by doing that, they actually help clean those animals out so they don't spread their diseases to the rest of the population. In fact, they're keeping fish populations really healthy in the ocean.
Well, then I'm not getting sick. I'm gonna go take some vitamins and eat some broccoli.
All right, and I'm gonna go for a swim.
Oh, well then, I'll save the broccoli for later.
Good luck, Nicole, but don't say I didn't warn you. So Nicole told me that sharks are at the top of the food chain in the ocean, but there's something at the bottom of the food chain that Nicole says is only about this big, but it's just as important, phytoplankton. And this phytoplankton stuff is a pretty big deal too. There are more than 5,000 species of it. Look at these. You know what's amazing? Phytoplankton produce half the oxygen for the whole world.
Here's a question from Angelina.
What do oceans do?
You mean like on the weekend, or do you mean why is it there? I think the question is, what doesn't it do?
It's a highway for us to transport stuff around the world. It gives us food to eat and rainwater for us to drink and use to grow crops. We need the ocean to survive, and it's home to more species than we can even count.
Let me catch my breath, and then I'll be able to answer the question that you've all been waiting for.
Are sea monsters real?
Well, Vito, the big answer is, I'm gonna show you one. There's no real proof that sea or lake monsters like the Loch Ness Monster exist.
And the Kraken was probably just a giant squid. But just because those monsters aren't real, it doesn't make the ocean safe.
But there is something really scary in the ocean, and I'm about to reveal what it is right now.
There's a monster in the sea. Away, yo! There's a monster in the sea.
You better not go
It's spreading oil on the waves
for 20,000 leagues.
and garbage in the deep.
Davy Jones low.
It's got billions of teeth
and billions of arms.
It's eating all the fish and it's causing lots of harm. But it doesn't look like these creepy beasts, 'cause
The monster in the sea is you and me.
'cause the monster in the sea is you and me.
Yes, the monster in the sea is you and me.
For a long time, humans have used the ocean as a bottomless supermarket and garbage dump. Not a good combination.
Experts say that 1 out of every 4 species of fish is being caught faster than it can reproduce and make new fish.
Fortunately, a lot of people, including kids, are realizing that we need to be careful with the ocean. We need to protect it if we want it and us to stay healthy and monster-free. And if we want a place to surf. Thanks for helping me find stuff out. Gotta go hang 10. Surf's up! Woo!
Check out these new chutes. Great job, Freddie. Oh, Jerry, you're looking a little thirsty. But don't worry, Zoe to the rescue. Oh, uh-oh. Too much water. That reminds me of a question I got from Nora.
How come sometimes there's too much water, but sometimes there's not enough water?
You're right. Some places get flooded and other places turn bone dry. I know why there wasn't enough water in here. Either Jerry drinks a lot of water or I forgot to water him. Yeah, I forgot to water him. And then I wasn't paying attention and I gave Jerry way too much. So to answer your question, I've come here to Science World to meet Brian, who knows a lot about water. Hi, Brian.
Hi, Zoe.
I've been wondering about water, like how there's too much and sometimes there's not enough.
Well, Zoe, the planet is over 70% water. In fact, there's more water on Earth than there is land. So we're going to look now about how water can move from one place to the other.
Cool.
One of the ways it does this is through evaporation. Big lakes and oceans, the water will heat up and travel up into the sky.
Oh, forming clouds.
Yeah. Safety first.
Thank you.
We're going to try the same thing using a little bit of rubbing alcohol. This evaporates very easily. Ready? 1.
Pumping air increases the pressure and heats up the gas. We're gonna release all that pressure when we pull out the nozzle. That makes the gas cool down fast and transforms it into tiny droplets of liquid, which form a cloud. Got it!
We let the pressure go, temperature goes down, and we have a cloud in a bottle.
Cool. Look at that.
That is awesome.
Same thing happens with real clouds in the air. When water warms up, it evaporates into a gas. When that vapor rises and reaches the sky, it cools down and turns into clouds, which are tiny droplets of water that always find their way back down to Earth. Speaking of that, Maddie has this question.
How does a flood happen?
Well, flood happens when you have too much water. That could be too much water that's built up behind a dam or a dike that's broken through, or it could be too much water coming down from the sky in a big storm. So Zoe, I've brought you a house and a beautiful lake here. Where would you like to place your house?
Let's place by the lake, because I like the lake.
It's true. A lot of people like to be close to the water. Of course, water also likes to flow down. I'm going to turn the water on.
All right.
All right, the water's starting to flow. We've got a gentle rainstorm up in the mountains starting to come down. Maybe a little bit of snow melting up there.
Oh no! Oh no! My house! My new carpet! My new book collection!
That is one soggy house there, Zoe.
I guess we'll have to find a better place for my home.
Sounds like a plan. One thing people can do to help protect houses from water is build dikes and water gates to redirect the water away from where you want it to go.
Let's try and see if my house will go right here.
So this time it's not moving at all. Of course, in big heavy rain, sometimes the dikes will overflow or even break.
Oh no! My house!
I hope you have insurance.
Well, even with the dikes here, I don't feel like my house is completely safe. Oh, this is a great place for my house.
Looks good, Zoe. Nice high ground, safe from a flood.
So the higher you are, the safer you are from a flood.
There's less water to flow through, that's for sure.
I have a question about floods.
Ah,
How high could a flood get?
floods have been recorded as high as 6 meters.
Am I there yet?
Higher.
Am I there yet?
That's it, 6 meters.
Oh no! Whoa, I made it.
Nice job.
I have a question.
How do you get rid of a flood?
That's a great question. As the climate's changing, a lot of people are thinking more about how they can prepare themselves for a flood. In fact, here at Science World, we're looking at the water levels around us and realizing they could go up as much as 1 to 2 meters.
Well, then what do you do in a flood?
The main thing is to stop the water from coming in and dry out the areas that have been affected. This could be using big blowers, heaters. One of the main things is make sure you get all of the moisture out of carpets, furniture, walls, because you don't want any mold starting to grow inside. Everything has to be completely dry.
Well, thanks for the tips. I think it's time we tested them out.
Yeah.
My Great Challenge! Today's challengers are Ophelia and Nick on Team Turbulence.
Team Turbulence.
And Cecilia and Louie on Team Wildwater.
Team Wildwater.
When I say go, I'm going to release the marble floodwater, and your job is to swoop in and save the day by directing the flood away from your houses below. The team with the fewest marbles around their houses by the end of the challenge wins. Are you guys ready?
Yes!
Okay. And go! Oh. No, 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 no. No, 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 I swear. Come on. I'm going here. Go.
Challengers have two ways to stop the flood. Using their sandbags, they can divert the rush of the water marbles onto the other team's side or into the drain holes on the edges of the river.
No, no, no. Come on. I'm going here. Go. Jesse, go. Oh.
Trying to push the marbles upstream is useless. They're only going to go back down. Water is really hard to stop.
Come on. No, 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 no.
That's it, no more water.
Judging by the number of marbles around the houses, it's clear that Team Turbulence won. Yay, Team Turbulence. Good job, guys. You fought the flood like superheroes. Flows across the plains. It fills up all the drains. When there's too much water, it can really be a pain. When cold, it turns to ice, and we slide around like dice. There's snow that's fun to play in, but ice storms are less than nice. Oh, yeah.
Next question.
Why are there ice storms?
Well, Leah, I checked, and this is what I found out. An ice storm is a storm of freezing rain that covers everything in a crunchy, slippery coating of ice. It happens when frozen rain falls through warm air, which melts it, before hitting the cold ground, which freezes it. This forms a layer of ice on trees, cars, the sidewalk, everything. That's why it's always important to check your weather forecast so you can be prepared for anything. But what if you can't look up the forecast? That reminds me.
How do animals survive in a wild weather? Oh no, a dog can't look up the weather. A cat can't check the forecast. A moose doesn't have a weather app. An elephant can't look up the temperature. Who warns the porcupines and the monkeys? You're gonna make my head explode! Whew. Some people think animals have a sixth sense because of all the crazy, cool ways they predict and survive wild weather. But they're just way more observant than us.
Animals tune into the world while we humans have trouble paying attention. Bees sense changes in the air pressure that often lead to rain, so they know exactly when to head inside. Sharks notice big temperature changes in the ocean, meaning the storm's coming, and swim to safety. Most land animals go somewhere high and safe in a water disaster, like this clever dog who survived a flood by swimming up to the roof. Before a tsunami, elephants sense movements in the earth and run to higher ground, trumpeting and warning each other.
I wish I had a built-in trumpet to warn people of tsunamis. Veronica has a question about tsunamis.
How do tsunamis start?
Flat Earth Corner!
Konnichiwa, people. Did you know the word tsunami is Japanese? It's from Tsu, meaning harbor, and Nami, meaning wave. Here in 7th century of Japan, we believe Namazu, a giant catfish, lashed its tail, making a giant wave. Oh, come on. We know now, rather than a giant fish, tsunamis are caused by natural events like landslides, volcanoes, glaciers breaking, and earthquakes. Whoa! 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 I found out that when the earth moves, water moves to fill the gaps.
In a powerful earthquake, the earth under the ocean can be lifted or dropped, which causes gaps. The water above it rises and makes giant waves across the ocean. As the water moves closer to shore, waves get bigger. A tsunami can move as fast as 1,000 kilometers an hour. That's faster than a jet plane. The experiment!
My friends made a tsunami simulation. Hi, guys.
Hey, Zoe.
Hey, Zoe. So how do you make your tsunami?
First, we use newspaper, dirt, and sand to build our beach.
Then we add some houses and trees to make it more realistic.
Time for the sand. Do you like beaches? Of course.
The highest tsunami wave ever recorded was in Alaska.
Now for the water. I can't wait.
It was 524 meters, about as high as the CN Tower.
Now it's time for the big wave. 3, 2, 1.
Millions of trees were uprooted and swept away. The powerful wave washes up on shore, and as it flows back out, it pulls just about everything along with it. Yikes. Thanks, guys.
Bye, Zoe.
Bye, Zoe. What a crazy place the ocean is, and I'm not the only one who thinks so.
Are there volcanoes underwater? Well, Emily, I found out that deep beneath the waves, there are about 1 million volcanoes. That's more volcanoes underwater than above. Here's how to make your own.
First, we start with cold water, representing the ocean, then a bowl of hot water, representing the lava-filled volcano. So, we have this little cup, and we're gonna fill it with warm water. Next, we put some red food coloring to make it more lava-y. Stir it up. Then, we put the tin foil on, and you wanna make it as tight as you can. Next, we poke a hole, representing the opening of the volcano.
Whoa. Unlike on land, when a volcano erupts underwater, lava doesn't shoot out because there's so much ocean weighing it down. So you can be in a boat over an erupting volcano and never even know it was there.
Don't worry, little volcano. We know you're there. There are a lot of things happening in, under, and even over the ocean. That reminds me of a question I got from Sophia.
How do hurricanes form?
Hurricanes are pretty picky. To form, the conditions have to be just right. First, they like warm ocean water. Next, we need a lot of wind. Clouds pull water from the ocean up, which makes a tube of super speedy air. This makes a hurricane. Hurricanes are water-moving machines. They suck up water from one part of the planet, and spit it somewhere else, sometimes making floods.
Today, weather scientists make an alphabetical list for the year's coming hurricanes. Xena, York, Zelda, but no Zoe. Phew.
Next question.
How do you respond to hurricanes?
To find out more about hurricanes called Sammy or Rosie or even Elaine, I call my special guest, and Dr. Kirsten's her name.
Hi, Zoe.
Hi, Dr. Kirsten. I asked you to come over to be on my show, not move in.
Well, I came prepared for a hurricane.
There's gonna be a hurricane?
No, the forecast is clear, but it's good to be prepared.
So Amelia wants to know how to respond to hurricanes. That's kind of your job, right?
That is my job. In fact, my job is not only to respond to hurricanes, but to respond to natural disasters or humanitarian emergencies all over the world.
Wow.
I have some pictures of the places I've been. There's one from Haiti, the Philippines. Both countries were affected by earthquakes and hurricanes.
That's crazy.
Sudan, which is affected by drought.
So it must be hard working in natural disasters.
You know what? It is tough because you don't have the luxuries that you have in your own home. So you have to bring everything for yourself. So it's kind of like camping in a way. We bring our own sleeping mats and, of course, our own sleeping blankets or sleeping bags. In some of these countries that are affected by hurricanes and a lot of water, there are mosquito breeding grounds, which can cause disease. So it's important to bring our own mosquito nets. That keeps us safe from getting mosquito-borne illness at night. Something else that we bring is our own food, because in a lot of these places, people don't have enough. So this is called a ready-to-eat meal. It's one prepackaged, dehydrated meal. All you need to do is reheat or add water, and you're ready to go.
You even bring toilet paper?
Yes, we do. Often in these places, the toilets have been destroyed or they don't work. And so we bring our own toilet paper, but we also bring this system called a pee-poo bag. So these bags are biodegradable and they can be used for human excrement, feces, or urine. And you put your paper inside, wrap it up, and you put it into a pile, and that it can be used for fertilizer for future agricultural initiatives.
That's weird.
Practical, doesn't leave any waste behind. We also need to bring our own ways to make water clean. In these places where there's a lot of water, like in a hurricane, all the water gets mixed together, so often it's not safe to drink.
Yeah.
And so what we often do is bring these kinds of devices where we can actually put a filter into dirty water. And it filters out all of the bad stuff, and you can pump your own water that's safe to drink, just like that.
Wow. This is a lot of stuff you bring to a disaster. I'm gonna ask my friends what they would bring. Ask a friend. Hey guys, what else would you bring if you already had the essentials?
I would gather all my construction blocks, bring them with me, and then grab my tablet, my piggy bank, and my stuffed animals. Because you can't bring your bed. A hockey stick and a hockey puck. I would bring my favorite doll, because I can't sleep without it. My teddy bear. It would be a hard choice to decide between my stuffed monkey and my parents. Because I love my stuffed monkey, and I love my parents. Yeah, and I would bring a swimming suit to swim.
It seems like there's been a lot more water disasters lately.
You're right, and that's largely due to climate change. And, you know, sometimes not having water can be just as much of a disaster as having too much water. Here's a picture of Lake Chad, which is in North Africa, and it's only 10% of its original size. So you can see how this area that used to be all filled with water is now shrunken down to a fraction of what it originally was.
Dr. Kirsten told me that with climate change, there's been less rain and more drought. Also, there are a lot more people living around Lake Chad, so more people use up the water resources. same thing is happening in the Aral Sea. Look at how it shrunk in only 25 years. A big part of it is now a desert. People need to be really careful about using water.
You know, in Canada, it's like we use 100 of these buckets of water per person for eating and cooking and washing a day. But in some of the places I've visited, people only get 3 of these buckets a day. So you can imagine how much difference that is and how much more water we use.
Well, thanks for helping me find stuff out.
Oh, you're welcome, Zoe.
Not bad, Jerry. Oh, you really bounced back from the flood. Still looking good, Freddie. I think I'm ready to answer the question that inspired today's show.
How come sometimes there's too much water, but sometimes there's not enough water?
The big answer is... water moves. That's right. Water moves around the Earth all the time, but natural disasters make it move even more.
Tsunamis push seawater onto land. Hurricanes suck water from the ocean and spit it somewhere else. Snow melts, and all these things put water where we don't want it. Then there are the places we'd like there to be water, but there isn't. Sometimes this is normal. But other times, drought and other water disasters are made by us.
That's right. I mean you and me. But if we're prepared for a natural disaster, it won't be so disastrous. I hear a storm coming.
It's pouring! Quick, gotta get an emergency bag ready just in case. Hey, where are the people bags?
I'm in this watery world because of a question from Amelie.
Will water ever be extinct?
I don't know, Amelie, but I've been thinking about water, mainly because a water line broke in my street, so they turned my water off. But before they did, I managed to fill up all these containers. Hopefully by the time they turn the water back on, I'll be able to answer your question. Now here's a question from Vanessa.
How come we can't talk or breathe underwater?
Why can't we talk or breathe underwater? Well, Vanessa, I found out for you. When we talk, our voice makes sound vibrations. What I'm trying to say is that we don't hear very well underwater because our eardrums need to vibrate, but underwater they don't vibrate as well. And the reason we can't breathe underwater is that while both air and water have oxygen, our lungs can't get oxygen from the water, and fish's gills can't get oxygen from the air. But wouldn't it be cool if you could breathe in both places? Now here's a question from Luisha.
Why do people need to have water?
If you're a fish, then you need it for breathing and living in. But humans use water for lots of things. We need to drink water because most of our body is made up of it. About this much. Hey, whoa, how did he get in there? Anyway, I feel a song coming on. H2O, 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 H2O. Well, there's water sloshing round in you and me. It carries nutrients to our whole body. It lubricates our joints and dissolves our food. Carries off our waste so we stay feeling good. We lose it when we poop and sweat and also when we pee. So we need this much water daily. H2O, 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 H2O. We use water to have fun too, like swimming and playing a whole bunch of sports. And most of all, we use it to grow food. Vegetables, fruits, and farm animals all need clean, fresh water. We also use water to stay clean. To cook, to make electricity, to paint, to heat our houses, to travel, to drink, even for flying. Water's everywhere, in everything. You're gonna make my head explode. Water's also nice in a cool cloth after your head explodes. but I realized that because it's so precious, we have to use it wisely. So, Luisha, your question inspired me to go and get some... What I want to know is, who are the biggest water wasters in your home?
My sister, because she goes into the bathroom to do her makeup, but she has the tap running, and she doesn't need the tap running.
Me, because when I water the garden, I goof off with the hose instead.
Probably me, because sometimes I leave the water on while I'm brushing my teeth.
Me, because when I take a shower, I keep it on the hot and I'm in there for 20 minutes.
Probably me and my brother, because sometimes in the summer we'll use our slip and slide. And then afterwards we'll go inside to dry off and have a snack. We'll just leave it running, and that wastes a lot of water.
Looks like we should all stop wasting water. All we gotta do is turn off the tap. Now here's a helpful question from Matthew.
How does water beat fire?
To find out why water beats fire, I've come here to meet firefighter Mark Messier.
Hi, Harrison. Welcome to Station 36. Harrison, you've got a fire to go to. Let's go. We gotta go.
Let's go. Tell me you were taking me to a real fire?
This is the training center. This is where we train firefighters, so we're gonna train you to put the fire out. Okay, so take the nozzle.
Okay.
Take some hose. Okay, you have one hand on there, one hand on here.
Yeah.
When it's full, you go ahead and open it up a little bit. Okay, now we got water.
Okay.
That's it. And spray the whole thing, go around in circles if you want. What we can do is we can roll around to the other side, make sure we get the whole side. That's it. We want to cool down the fuel, and that will put the fire out. There you go. Now we can stop, see if there's any more smoke.
A little bit on the hay there.
Still smoldering a little bit, and that's normal.
To answer Matthew's question, how did the water beat the fire?
So basically, when we look at a fire, it's like a triangle. You need fuel, you need heat, and you need oxygen in order to have a fire. By eliminating any one of those three, the fire goes out. So what did we do here?
Well, let's see. We didn't remove the fuel. The wood's still there. We didn't remove the oxygen. The air is still all around us. We took the water, which eliminated the heat.
That's correct.
And that put out the fire.
That's exactly what happened.
Nice.
Good job.
Now we're gonna try to put out another kind of fire, a grease fire.
We can't extinguish all fires with water, because some fires will actually make it quite dangerous if we use water. Watch this.
Oh, that looks really dangerous.
It is. When people have a grease fire in their kitchen, the best thing for them to do is just to get out of the house and call 911 as soon as they can.
Right. Well, I'm sure there's some other way to put this fire out.
Yes, there is, by removing the oxygen. So what we're going to use is a carbon dioxide extinguisher.
Okay.
And you're going to put out the fire.
Awesome. Carbon dioxide is the same gas that makes fizzy drinks fizzy.
All right, so you ready?
Yeah, let's do this.
Okay, let's go.
Ready? Because it doesn't burn and is heavier than air, it sticks to the base of the fire and pushes the oxygen away. Whoa, that was difficult to put that one out.
No, but you managed to do it. So when we look at our fire triangle, we have heat, oxygen, and fuel. What did you do here?
We sprayed it with the carbon dioxide, which got rid of the oxygen.
That's correct. We displaced the oxygen, so the fire has to go out.
Nice.
Good job. Okay, here we're gonna have a propane fire. Now, we can't put this out with water. However, we'll use water to keep the tanks cool, and we'll use it as a shield so we can get close enough to turn the fuel off.
Oh, that's like the last part of the triangle. You just have to eliminate the fuel.
Exactly, and you're the one who's gonna be turning it off.
Nice. Uh-oh. You have got to be kidding. To put that out, I'm gonna need some special safety equipment.
Okay, now there's some clips back here. We're gonna tighten.
Oh, like that.
Now breathe. Okay. If I checked you, I want to make sure I see no exposed skin. Something goes wrong, we need to make sure that you're covered.
Let's do this. The gas leaking out of those tanks is on fire. The firemen will hose it off to make it cool enough to touch. My job is to turn off the valve and stop the flow of gas. But first, we have to get closer. That's the valve I have to turn off. I did it! Fire's out. Ooh, that was hot. Thanks so much for being on my show.
Hey, no problem. Thanks anytime for coming, but you never asked me the one question. How do we cool down after it's really hot?
How do we cool down after it's hot?
Well, you really want to know?
Yeah. I guess that's a pretty good way to cool down. Here's another question that's all wet.
Why is the water clear, but the ocean blue?
Yeah, what gives? This glass of water doesn't have any color in it. Or does it? To help me find out... She knows about water, and she promised not to dump it on me. Please welcome Roxanne Moranger.
Hi, Harrison. Today we're going to talk about water.
All right, but you're not going to dump that on me, are you?
No, I'm not a firefighter.
So this is clear water, but I was hoping you could bring blue water to help me find the answer to the question.
Actually, all water is blue. You got to think of the sun sending down all its light like a rainbow into the ocean, but the only color that's actually being reflected from the water is blue, and that's why the ocean is blue.
So I guess you need a lot of water, like a lake or the ocean, to see the blue. Just one glass isn't enough.
Absolutely.
But what about all these colors, like this one?
Oh, that one, that's Lake Rotorua in New Zealand. It's covered in little tiny microscopic plants called algae that are green, and they're reflecting the green color.
Right, so that's why it's green, it reflects the green light. What about this one?
Oh, isn't that one pretty? That one's Lake Hillier. It's in Australia. It's very, very, very salty. It's like 10 times saltier than the ocean. And the little tiny microscopic plants growing in this lake actually reflect the colors more like orange and red.
So it ends up being pink with the salt and stuff combined?
Exactly.
Okay, and what about this one? It's black.
This lake is actually on top of a volcano. The water is coming in from underneath, and what's happening is it's gathering all the minerals from the rock.
Right.
And because it's a volcano, the rock is really black and minerally.
Right, from like ash and stuff.
Exactly, and so that's why it gets this black color.
Right, well, I have one more. It's rainbow.
Oh, Harrison, you're such a joker.
Okay, so what about this water? It's green. Is that because of the algae you mentioned earlier?
Absolutely.
Well, let's take a look at this with my super zoom-o-matic.
Oh, cool. So algae are little tiny microscopic plants. So you have to think of them as being like leaves of a tree, but they're really, really tiny. You can only see them with a microscope or your super zoom-o-matic. And they're the ones that are capturing the sunlight's energy and producing the food that all the animals living in water rely on to eat.
Right, and what about this water? It's all brown.
Yeah, that water is swamp water.
Oh, it smells horrible.
I know. Well, what happens is swamps are characteristic of a lot of things coming into it and dying. And as they die, they get all broken down and the color becomes brown.
Well, I wouldn't want to drink that. And Devin had a question about that.
How can you make river water safe to drink?
Some rivers are actually safe to drink right away, but most rivers you should take some precautionary treatment before drinking them. I have my filtration setup that I use when I want to go and study lakes.
Right.
And what we're going to do is we're going to pour a little bit of this water, which looks relatively clear. It has a little tinge of green.
Kind of green there.
Yeah, I wouldn't drink that directly,
Yeah.
so let's remove some stuff. Okay, so pour it in there. Let's get the filter pump going. And what I have in here is a little fine mesh filter that is capturing all the particles. So let's stop that. And let's take a look.
Whoa, it's all green.
That's the algae being caught up. Now, another way to make water safe is by boiling the water.
Boiling water, how does that help?
Well, you get the water up to such a high temperature that all the microorganisms or bacteria die.
Right, and then it's safe to drink.
Then it's safe to drink. So would you like to kill some bacteria?
Sure.
Let's go for it. So Harrison, the river water is now boiled, and now I'm going to make tea. And tea is actually going to explain why that swamp water we have over there is turning brown. Because tea...
it's brown.
That's right. Tea are just dead leaves.
Just like there's dead leaves in swamp water, dead leaves make tea.
Absolutely. Would you like a cup of tea?
Oh, why, yes. A cup of dead leaves would be wonderful.
My pleasure.
Smashing. This one smells much better. Thanks for being on my show.
My pleasure, Harrison.
Now here's a question from Mia.
How does rain come down from the clouds?
The Flat Earth Corner! Hey, farmers. Are your crops brown because it hasn't rained in months? Are your animals thirsty? Do you not have any water? No problem. Give me all your money, and I'll make it rain with this Rain-O-Matic air cannon. Why, this is no ordinary cannon. What a bargain! Less than 100 years ago, people believed there were rainmakers that could actually make it rain. It didn't work. Serious scientists tried it too, with a process called seeding clouds, but that didn't really work either. If there's no moisture up in the air, then you can't make it rain. Simple as that. Here's the real way rain falls from the clouds. The sun heats water in the ocean's rivers and lakes. The tiny droplets evaporate and rise up in the sky to form clouds. If enough water gathers up there, it gets too crowded for all that water, and it falls back down to earth, starting the cycle all over again. But rain doesn't fall evenly all across the world, as Evan's question points out.
How come some countries in the world don't have that much water, yet most of the world is filled with water?
Most of our planet is covered by water. That's why it looks blue when you see it from space. So it seems like there should be enough water for every country in the world. But here's the thing. Let's say this is the entire amount of water that's in the world right now. Nearly all of it would be salt water in oceans. We can't live by drinking salt water. Our bodies can't take that much salt, and we can't use salt water to grow crops or raise animals either. So how much is left of fresh water, the stuff we use for farming and drinking? Only about this much. But there's a catch. A lot of that fresh water is locked up in icebergs and glaciers. And what's left for us out of all the water in the world is about this much. I'm starting to see why some countries have less water than others. So because water isn't spread out evenly in the world, and some people have to work really hard to get their water, that gives me an idea for... my Great Challenge! Today's challenge might get very messy and very wet. And today's challengers are Michaela.
You're going down.
And Sam.
All right.
All right. In North America, each person uses this much water every day. That's for drinking, washing our clothes or cars, and watering the lawns.
That's crazy.
What if I told you you have to carry that much water on your head?
Whoa.
Watch this. People in some parts of the world spend as much as 4 hours a day carrying water from wells to their homes. Some people get so good, they don't even have to hold on to their bucket. As a matter of fact, that's today's challenge. You'll have this bucket, and you have to dunk it into this well, get as much water as you can, and then put it on your head and walk all the way to those jugs over there without spilling it. You'll have 2 minutes, and the one that fills the jug up the most will be the winner.
Okay.
But there's a catch. You cannot touch the bucket while it's on your head. If you do, you'll have to restart back over here.
What's this for?
This is to help balance the bucket on your head. Are you guys ready? Set, go! Don't touch the bucket.
Oh, yeah.
There's one, there's one. Going for bucket number 2. Oh, come back, come back. Oh, let go of the bucket. Oh, no! Make sure to let go of the bucket right before you start marking. They each have 1 bucket right now in their jugs, but let go of the bucket. Okay. Oh, Michaela's almost there. Yeah. We have about a minute left. Oh, look at that, speed run. Michaela's going for her third bucket, and so is Sam. Oh, they're tied right now. Sam's getting ahead. Oh! This is a close race. Oh! 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, time's up. All right, let's see who the winner is. So it looks like Sam has about 2.5 liters of water, and Michaela 3 liters. You're the winner.
Oh yeah, I told you you're going down.
You really did.
What was the hardest part of the challenge?
Well, it was kind of keeping the water on your head, because like you're trying to run and it's a race, so it's hard to keep it on your head.
It was hard to put the right amount of water, because if it's too heavy, it'll tip over, and if it's too light, it'll tip over too, because there's not enough weight on your head.
So would you like to carry that much water on your head for 4 hours every day?
No.
Not really.
Really makes you think about not wasting water, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, thanks for being on my great challenge and helping me find stuff out.
That was really fun.
Yeah.
People aren't the only living things that have to worry about how much water they use. Here's a question from Angela.
How does a cactus produce water when there is no water in the desert?
I checked, and here's what I found out. These cactuses manage to live in deserts where other plants would die because there's not enough water. Cactuses do it by storing water and using it very carefully. This cactus doesn't have any leaves, so it doesn't lose water through them like other plants do. But the cactus can't make any water. It can only store water. So that brings me back to the question that started me on this watery quest.
Will water ever be extinct?
The big answer is yes and no. There's lots of water around, but not all are in forms that we can use. All of the water that's on Earth has been here since the Earth was formed. There's no new water being made. So even though there's a lot of water, we still have to conserve it and make sure it's clean, because there's only so much of it. Hey, sounds like my water's back on. Guess I won't have to break you open after all. Ow! I wasn't actually gonna break you open. Thanks for watching Finding Stuff Out. Ow! I don't even like cactus water. Ow!
Hey, welcome to Finding Stuff Out. If you're wondering why I'm in the dark, I'm conducting a scientific test inspired by an interesting question I received.
Do carrots really help you see in the dark?
Of course they do. Have you ever seen a rabbit wearing glasses? Nah. Seriously though, I don't know. But by the end of the show, I will eat all of these carrots, then I'll be able to see in the dark and answer this other question.
How come so many people are afraid of the dark?
Sometimes I have to admit, I'm a little scared of the dark myself. What about you?
Ask a friend.
When I'm in the dark, I think there are zombies, ghosts, creepy things.
There might be monsters.
You feel very uncomfortable.
There might be ghosts that could invade your body.
Sometimes I just feel like someone's watching me in the dark. You think the scary movies are gonna come true?
There's nothing that scares me. Boom. First, guys, I suggest we get to know our enemy a little better.
What is darkness?
Well, Abdul, I checked, and darkness is an absence of light, like this. See, I'm in total darkness because there's no light. Light is a form of energy that we can see. When light bounces off of things, that's how we can see them. So darkness is just when there's no light. Here's a question from Amber.
Why is it daytime here and nighttime somewhere else?
Earth, the planet we live on, is lit up by the sun. The Earth is constantly spinning, so when one part of the Earth is lit up by the sun, that's what we call daytime. And the part that's facing away from the sun is what we call nighttime. But remember, the Earth is constantly spinning, So wherever you are and it's daytime, 12 hours later, it will be nighttime for you.
What is a solar eclipse?
Flat Earth Corner! What is a solar eclipse? It's when the sun disappears from the sky during the daytime and the world is plunged into terrifying darkness. And if you're a Viking warrior like me, living more than 1,000 years ago, you know exactly what causes eclipses. Eclipses are caused by a warg. That's a kind of wolf with superpowers, eating the sun. They're huge! And apparently, they like very, very hot food. Oh boy, that warg wolf is out again, eating the sun. I hope it won't be dark forever now. That's a relief. The sun is back. I guess that giant wolf didn't really like the taste of that sun so much.
Eclipses aren't really caused by giant wolves. They're caused by the moon.
I found out that the moon circles Earth all the time, and once in a while, the moon comes between the Earth and the sun. Hello? Trying to have some daytime here? You're blocking my light. Oh! I'm going as fast as I can. When it does, it blocks the sun's light for a few minutes, causing an eclipse. Ah, that's better!
Does darkness affect plants to grow?
That's a good question, Sasha. But I don't think this carrot will give me an answer. It's not very talkative. And I checked. All plants need light to live and grow. Some can survive with just a little, but none of them can grow in the dark. Mushrooms can, but they're not a plant. They're something called fungi. They don't need light like plants do, and they get their food from rotting stuff. Of course, plants aren't the only thing that are affected by darkness. Animals are affected by darkness too. Here's another question from Alessandra.
Are owls and bats afraid of the light? I think I know someone who can answer that.
She knows about owls who fly around at night. They don't crash into stuff because they have an amazing sight. Here, Jennifer's here to vibe. I see you brought a friend.
I have. This is Dweep, our grandpapa great horned owl. He's actually 30 years old.
Wow, I'm glad I know your name. So now I don't have to wonder who you are. What kind of owl is Dweep?
This is actually a great horned owl. As you can see by these awesome horns he has on his head. They're not really horns, they're actually just tufts of feathers that stick out from his head, but from far they kind of look like horns.
So to answer your question, Alessandra, Jennifer says that we don't know if they're afraid, but bats really don't like light. Oh! She says owls like Dweep don't mind daylight. But when darkness comes, these great night hunters, woohoo, rule the sky.
How is it possible for owls to hunt at night?
Oh, well, owls are really special. They have these special eyes that help them to see better in low light condition. Now, if you look at his eyes, you'll see compared to his head, his eyes are huge. If we made his skull as big as a human skull, for example, we'd have to have eyes the size of grapefruit. I'd look quite pretty with eyes the size of grapefruits, right? Now, being that those eyes are so big, those pupils, the little black circles that you see in the middle of their eyes, those are also can become really big. The bigger the pupils, the more light comes into their eye. And that means they can see better. Now, their eyes are so big, though, that they can't really move them. So you see what I'm doing with my eyes? These guys can't do that. Their eyes stay fixed.
Yeah.
So because they can't move them, they've adapted other ways of being able to see all around them. So I'm gonna ask you to help me demonstrate. I'm gonna ask you to stay straight. Don't move your body at all. Just turn your head as far as you can turn it. So how far are you going?
A little past my shoulder.
So we'll say it's about 90 degrees from the front axis all the way to the shoulder, right? An owl can do 3 times as much.
Wow.
So they can turn to the shoulder, to the back, and even to the next shoulder without moving their bodies. Cool. And they can do that on each side. Pretty neat, eh?
Cool. What else helps owls fly in the night?
Good question. Well, actually, they're really, really stealthy. They actually have what's called silent flight, or I should say, silent flight. Because what happens is when they flap their wings, you don't hear anything. So I'm going to demonstrate for you.
Okay.
I have 2 feathers here. I have a small one, that's for the owl, and I have this larger one, that's an eagle feather. Did you hear that one? Now for the owl feather. So you can see there's quite a difference, right?
Yeah.
Why would it need to be so quiet, an owl? What would it need that for?
So the prey couldn't hear them and he could catch them.
Bingo, exactly. To be able to surprise that little mouse. It's also in order to be able to
listen.
Hear the little mouse. That was a little yawn.
What else helps owls catch their dinner in the dark?
Oh, well, to show you that, I'm gonna bring out a different owl.
Okay.
So let me introduce you to Novio.
That's so cool. He moves his head around. It's like he's dancing. Why does he do that?
Actually, this is a barn owl. And barn owls, if you look at the faces, their face is shaped in the shape of a heart or a circle, if you will.
Yeah.
And that's what's called a facial disc on an owl. All owls have them. Now, barn owls, their facial disc helps bring the sound to their ears, which are hidden beneath the feathers on each side of their head. So with that facial disc, he's able to hear things more clearly, so he can hear all sorts of sounds. And the reason why he's dancing is he's kind of trying to make that facial disc a little bit bigger. Well, the more he moves his head, the more he's able to hear sounds. These guys have such amazing hearing that they can hear little mice 30 centimeters under the snow.
Wow, that's so cool. Thanks, Jennifer, for being on my show.
Thank you for having us.
Well, owls finding their way in the dark gives me an idea for my great challenge! I'm the addict with my 2 challenges. Ruby.
Hi.
You're going to be Team Dweep. Sasha.
Hey.
You're going to be Team Novio. You're gonna have to use sound to hunt like an owl, but I'm not going to turn the lights off because that wouldn't be very interesting for the people who are watching, will it?
No.
So you guys are going to be blindfolded, and you can only use your sense of hearing to catch your prey, like this one. So are you guys ready?
Yeah.
Then put your blindfolds on and start hunting in the dark. Oh, Novio got the first one. Let me put it in your basket. Oh, Zeev got the second one. Okay, let me put it in your basket. The next one is a little sneaky. I got it. Okay, you guys both get a point. It's a tie. Got it. Nice job. Okay, this is the last one now. You guys ready? Yeah. Got it. Shweep, you have 3. And Novio, you also have 3. Which means you guys both win. Yeah! Was it weird hunting for your dinner in the dark?
Yeah.
Why?
Because I like seeing my food.
And was it difficult for you, Shweep?
Yeah.
Why?
Because it was hard walking, you could probably trip.
Yeah. Do try this at home. Emerald and Linnea have an experiment to get an idea of how an owl's hearing works. Let's pretend a little mouse is scurrying around the house. Just listen. Next, cup your ears with your hands.
Do you hear better?
I hear better.
Now, make a simple cone.
When did you hear the mouse better? Well, with my ears, I heard it a little. With my hands, I heard it a little bit more. And with the cone, I heard it very well.
I found out from Jennifer that the barn owl's face works sort of like cones, funneling sound to its ears. Now, here's David and Adeline with another owl experiment. Owls' eyes are amazing in the dark. One reason ours aren't as good is because our pupils are smaller compared to the size of our face. With the lights on, your pupils are about this size. But turn off the lights, and your pupils get bigger to let more light in to help you see. After staring at a bright light, let's see how long it takes Adeline's eyes to adjust to darkness and see what's on the black cloth. Go!
I can't see it at all. Look. See? Do you see anything? No, not yet.
If Adeline had owl eyes, she'd see in the dark much better and much faster.
That's so easy.
Maybe it's something with wings. I think it's a bat. Well, you were right. Boom! Bats are night animals, so they've developed ways to fly and hunt in the dark.
But how do they do it?
Here's Batgirl Corey Lawson. Hi, Corey.
Hi, Zoe.
So, can we start looking for bats?
That sounds like a great idea.
All right, let's go.
Okay.
How did you get the name Batgirl?
Well, when I was young, about your age, actually, we had a bat in our house. And it was clear that my parents were really scared of it. And I thought, how can adults be scared of something so tiny? So then I went to university. I ended up learning a lot about bats. And, well, I've been studying them ever since. They're fascinating.
Cool.
Yeah.
So, what's going to happen tonight?
Oh, well, the bats are sleeping now during the day. They're hiding under the bark of the trees, and some of them are in buildings. And then as it gets dark, they're going to peek their head out, look around, make sure the coast is clear, and then they're going to dart out and go look for some food and water.
Wow. To answer the question, are bats afraid of light?
Well, I don't know if they're afraid of the light, but we do know that if they go out during the day and try to fly around, the crows or hawks or other predators will try to eat them. So it's a good thing that they do just fly at night.
Besides the things that want to eat them, are there any other reasons that bats come out at night and not in the light?
Yeah, there are a lot of insects that come out at night, like mosquitoes and moths, right? And so there's a lot of food for bats, so it's a good time for a bat to be eating is at night. If they tried to eat the insects during the day, they would be competing with other wildlife, like birds, for example, swallows. So at night, they've got the skies to themselves.
Once nighttime sets in, bats get busy. This lake is a great spot for Corey to use her special equipment.
These are bat detectors. And so what they do is they turn the ultrasound that bats are producing into something that we can hear, and they show you on the screen what the bat calls look like.
Cool. But what exactly is ultrasound?
It's sound that's too high in pitch for us to hear. So the bat detectors will lower the sound so that we can actually hear it. Now that's called echolocation. When bats go out and produce ultrasound, they will listen for the echoes of the sound to come back. And that way they won't run into trees and they'll find the bugs to eat them.
Cool.
So we just point the detectors out over the water, and the bats are going to come in and they're going to get a drink, just like that. See, that's a bat, and we can see the ultrasound calls that it's producing, and that's its echolocation. It can find the water and some bugs to eat.
That's awesome.
Oh, look, it's Felix, my research colleague. And he has a bat that needs to be released. When he releases it, we'll be able to record its ultrasound.
Cool. Hey, Bat, I see your ultrasound. Have a nice meal.
Well, thanks for being on my show and helping me find out about why bats love the dark.
Well, you're welcome.
Now, here's a question from Alexa.
Are there any animals who live in total darkness?
Total darkness? Like complete absence of light? Head getting warm? How could an animal function in total darkness? How would it know left from right and day from night? Tsunamis is getting out of control! Freak Yep, I'm definitely not a creature who could live in the dark. But amazingly, they do exist. Creatures like worms burrow in the ground and have no eyes. Moles do have eyes, but they're super small and can only detect dark, light, and movement. Moles spend all of their life underground. An insect called a springtail has no eyes. It lives in caves nearly 2,000 meters deep. That's like about 4 CN towers. And these cavefish live in total darkness and have no eyes at all.
Well, I found out a lot of stuff about the dark. And now it's time to answer the question that inspired my dark quest.
Do carrots really help you see in the dark?
Well, Maxime, the big answer is... they don't! I checked and I found out that although carrots are good for you, they don't actually help you see in the dark. It was just a rumor made up by the British government during World War II to explain why they were able to catch their enemies' airplanes at night.
They said that because they didn't want the enemy to know that they had made a huge invention, the airborne radar. It works sort of like the way bats find their prey, sending out signals that bounce back and tells a radar operator where the enemy plane is.
Hey, that's my idea! The carrots didn't help me see at night, so it didn't help me answer this question from Leonie.
How come so many people are afraid of the dark?
Well, Leonie, I checked and I wrote this song to explain it.
Fear of the dark is an instinct from a very long time ago, when hyenas and tigers prowled in the gloom and leopards and lions roamed. Our ancestors were afraid of the night, 'cause they couldn't see what was watching them and getting ready to bite. But now we live in houses, there are no lions here, so we can sleep in the dark, there's nothing to fear here. There are no lions here, there's no lions to fear here.
So our fear of the dark is an instinct from a very long time ago. But since then, people have invented lots of ways to live and work in the dark. Inventions like radar, electric lights, and night vision goggles make it possible for us to go about our day-to-day lives in ways that our primitive ancestors could never have imagined. So, just like our instincts tell us not to jump off a cliff or put our fingers through a flame, we still have instincts that tell us to be afraid of the dark. But I know it's just an instinct, so I'm not scared of going to sleep in the dark. Thanks for watching my show, and see you again next time for more Finding Stuff Out.
Something bit me in the dark. It's a predator. Maybe a tiger or a carrot?
Hi, welcome to Finding Stuff Out, the show where I answer your burning questions of the day. Like...
Why does the moon follow us?
Yes, Carl, why does the moon follow us? I wondered that myself recently while I was out for a walk. Did you ever get the feeling that you were being followed? That's weird. It's you! I caught the moon following me. Why does the moon follow us? I don't know, but we're about to find out what tricks that moon is up to. And by the end of the show, I'll have the answer to your question. Here's one from Jessica.
Why is there a moon?
Why is there a moon? I don't know. I know that it's there in the sky, but I've never really thought about why. And now you've got me thinking about it a lot. Did it just show up on our doorstep one day? Like a cat? It's mind-boggling. How did something so big get there? Why is there a moon? Ah! Yay! You're going to make my head explode! To answer your question, I went to the moon. Just kidding. If I really was on the moon, my face would expand and I wouldn't be able to breathe. But seriously, I'm here today at the Canadian Space Agency in a place called the Sandbox, which is very similar to the surface of the moon. And here I am with Caroline Emmanuel Morissette, who's a lunar geologist.
Hi, Harrison.
Hi. So what is the whole point of this sandbox?
Well, we can use it to practice for possible future lunar missions.
The astronauts practice down here, so they know what to do on the real moon. This is the perfect place to answer your question. Why is there a moon? Caroline says that most scientists think it's because of something called the giant impact.
The giant impact theory.
So did it involve giants like Jack and the Beanstalk swinging clubs like this?
No, it didn't.
Caroline tells me that according to the giant impact theory, billions of years ago, an asteroid as big as Mars smashed into the Earth. Parts of the Earth and parts of the asteroid shattered into pieces, then joined together to form the moon that we now see in our sky. So in all the vastness of space, there's a chocolate cupcake orbiting around the sun, minding his own business, when all of a sudden, whoosh, hey there, buddy, this is my orbit. Get your own, pal. I'm sorry, I'm out of control, I can't help it. Yes, you can. Out of all the orbits in the galaxy, you had to choose mine. Whoa! Hey, you got vanilla icing all over me. No, you got chocolate icing all over me. So the moon is made up of bits of vanilla cupcake and chocolate cupcake. Or, as an astronomer would put it, the moon is made up of bits of the Earth and bits of the asteroid that hit the Earth. Next question.
Why does the moon have bumps like that?
Yeah, why does the moon have so many bumps?
When the Earth and the moon formed,
Caroline says when the Earth and the moon were made billions of years ago, there was so much stuff floating around in space that rocks and planets were always bashing into each other. Even today, new craters get made on the moon. It happens when meteoroids, that's stone or metal debris from space, crash into it. Wow, I made my own mini crater! I wondered why those meteoroids don't hit the Earth too. Caroline tells me it's because the Earth's atmosphere is like a shield. The meteoroids burn up when they try to get in. When you see a shooting star, it's really a meteoroid burning up in the Earth's atmosphere. But the moon doesn't have an atmosphere to shield it, so it gets hit. How big can the craters be?
well, some are very large, so you could take a day to cross them in a car.
What? That's crazy.
Yeah.
So thanks for being on my show and helping me find stuff out. It was out of this world.
Oh, well, it's my pleasure, Harrison. Thank you.
Okay, Rover, ready? Oh, good boy! Yeah! Good boy, Rover! Yeah, good job! Good boy! Yes, you are! Good boy!
Street Smarts!
So, we all know that the Earth is made of, well, Earth.
And water. And what about plants? And rocks?
But what is the moon made out of? I have these kids here to help me find out.
Craters. Lots of gray stuff. Dirt. White grass.
I think it is made of mozzarella or Parmesan cheese. And if I were to go to the moon, I would be sitting there all day long eating cheese.
Do you think you'd get sick of the cheese?
Yes, I would.
Here's a question from Evan.
Why does the moon light at night, but not so much during the day?
Well, Evan, I found the answer on the website for NASA. They're people who explore space. This is the moon at night. It's brightly lit up. And this is it during the day. You're right, Evan. It's not so bright now. But why? I think this calls for... the experiment! The NASA article suggested this experiment. Pretend this is the sun, and this mirror is the moon. There's a lot of light, so when I put it over here, we can still see the mirror. It just doesn't stand out a lot against the bright daytime sky. But when it's night, my mirror looks bright against the dark sky. Whether it's day or night, we can see the moon because it reflects the light from the sun. The moon doesn't make any light of its own. Look, if I turn the sun off, no more shiny moon.
So the moon has another disappearing trick up its sleeve, as Marissa points out.
Why sometimes the moon is full, but sometimes the moon is not full?
Marissa, that's a very challenging question, and the answer calls for...
Great challenge!
Okay, contestants, let's take a look at the phases of the moon.
Marissa is right. Here the moon is full. You can see all of it. But now, watch that moon start to disappear. It gets dark on one side, and it keeps getting darker a little more each night until you can only see half the moon. Eventually, you can only see a sliver of it, until it looks like a giant toenail clipping.
I hope you don't leave those under your bed. Moms hate that. Well, at least mine does.
Yeah, mine hates that too.
Anyway, finally it reaches the new moon stage. That's when we can't see it at all. Then, it gradually reappears, until it's the full moon again.
That's my favorite phase, could you tell?
Yeah. And it's also my signal to start this challenge.
You're gonna wear these way cool hats! Yay! Here comes the sun. Now, you are the Earth and you are the moon. Your job is to find the new moon, which is the one that disappears. Go!
Marissa, the challengers are bending their brains to figure out the answer to your question. Why is the moon full sometimes and not full at other times? Team number 1 seems to be having trouble figuring it out. I guess they've got a lot on their minds. Get it?
Slower. Faster. Here, there. Can't really see the moon when it's there. Yes, you're correct. When the moon is between the sun and the Earth like that, that's when you can't see the moon as well.
That's because the sun isn't shining on the side of the moon you can see.
Now, the second part of the challenge is for you to find the full moon. Go. Now? Correct. As you see, now the Earth is between the moon and the sun, and the moon is fully lit.
That's because the sun is shining on the side of the moon that you can see.
You guys took 1 minute and 50 seconds to complete the challenge. Here comes the sun, again. Okay, team number 2, now it's your turn. You're trying to find the new moon, which is when you can't see it. Are you ready?
Yep.
Okay, go.
Can team number 2 figure it out faster than team number 1?
There. You're correct. As you see, the moon is between the sun and the Earth, and now you can't see the moon. So now you're trying to find the full moon. Are you ready?
Yep.
Okay, go.
The clock is ticking. If they can do it on their first try, they'll win this challenge.
There. Correct again. As you see, now the Earth is between the sun and the moon, making the moon full. That was amazing. You guys did it in 17 seconds.
Yahoo! Yeah!
Congratulations. The winner of the challenge is team number 2.
Yahoo!
Thomas, you did it really fast. Why did it come so easily to you?
I knew that when all the light would be on it, it would be the full moon. And that when none of the light would be on it, it would be the new moon.
Did you learn that in school, or where did you learn?
Well, I don't remember actually.
You just knew, because you're a genius.
Kind of.
Why do people say the moon tastes like cheese?
The short answer is because they've never tasted moon rocks, which don't taste anything like cheese.
The moon made out of cheese? That would be awesome! In the 17th century, someone noticed the moon looked like green cheese. People joked around a lot about it being cheese. Apparently people are easily tricked because it caught on quite quick that the moon was made of Gouda, feta, cheddar, Swiss cheese. Unfortunately, it's none of these.
Why do wolves howl at the moon?
That's a really interesting question. Let's take a look at some wolves howling. Wolves howl a lot. They even howl in the daytime. I checked, and wolves are more active on nights when the moon is bright, since, just like with us, it helps them see. And the more active they are, the more they howl. So it's not that they are howling at the moon. It's just that when the moon is bright, they're most likely to be going out doing all the things that wolves like to do. Like howling. Wolves hold their head up high when they howl, which is why if they're howling when the moon is out, it looks like they're howling at the moon. But speaking of wolves and full moons...
Does the moon turn peoples into werewolves?
The Flat Earth Corner! Does the moon turn people into werewolves? Well, as everyone in medieval Europe knows, duh, of course it does. I'm actually getting as hungry as a wolf. I really could use some moon cheese. Strange. That one didn't sound like my stomach. Werewolf! Again! People used to believe that the full moon turned people into werewolves. But the truth is, there's no such thing as werewolves, except in movies. But that doesn't mean you have to tell your little brother or sister. Speaking of weird movie ideas about the moon, check this out. The full moon is the brightest object in the night sky. So it's no wonder that it pops up in so many myths, songs, and stories. And in this old movie. People have been dreaming about going to the moon for a long time, even if they didn't get all the details right. So that's not exactly how it happened, but it brings me to my next question, which is from Steven.
I want to know who was the first man on the moon.
Well, it definitely wasn't this guy. Or these guys. But there really was a first man on the moon. The first man on the moon is on board this rocket. He went a long time ago, in 1969. 2 other astronauts are with him in the rocket. It traveled about 400,000 kilometers. That's the same distance as going around the Earth 10 times. When they got there, one of the astronauts, Neil Armstrong, became the first person to walk on the moon and talk on the moon.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Altogether, 12 people have been to the moon. They collected moon rocks and soil. And they also seem to spend a lot of time bobbing around. As Destiny has noticed,
Why do we float on air when we walk on the moon?
well, Destiny, walking on the moon feels a lot like walking on a trampoline because the moon has a lot less gravity than the Earth does. So we don't weigh as much on the moon as we do on Earth.
I was strolling on the moon one day in a merry, merry month of December. Now, May. Dum-da-dum-dum-dum. Dum-da-dum-dum-dum.
So if you weigh about 70 pounds on Earth, like me, then you probably weigh only about 12 pounds when you're on the moon. That's the same as, like when you were a baby. That's me. I'm so cute. I wasn't so bad when I was a baby either. Anyway, this gives me a good idea for my Do Try This at Home. Uh-oh. Do try this at home. To get a sense of how different it would be if you were on the moon, try this. Wait, I think I can do better. Let's try that again. Now you try. Are you ready? And jump! Good. If you were like most kids, you probably jumped between 1/4 of a meter and 1/2 a meter. But if you were on the moon, you'd be able to jump 6 times higher. That's about 3 meters. That's higher than most ceilings. That would be pretty cool. Note to self, don't try this at home if your house is on the moon. Now here's a question about something that happens right here on Earth.
How does the moon control the waves?
The answer is pretty amazing. Our sun's gravity pulls on the Earth, which is why the Earth circles the sun.
I'm heavy, so I've got a lot of gravity.
Earth's gravity pulls on the moon, which is why the moon circles us.
I've got some influence of my own.
But even while the Earth is pulling on the moon also affects the Earth.
You're not the only one with pull around here.
That blue is Earth's ocean. Because Earth is always spinning, the moon is constantly pulling at different parts of it.
That makes the tide or water level of the ocean higher in the parts of the Earth closest to the moon. There's also a high tide on the opposite side of the Earth, because the moon pulls harder on the Earth than on the water over there.
If you don't live near the ocean or have never been there and seen the tide come in, it's pretty amazing. Check this out. This is the Bay of Fundy in Nova Scotia. It has the highest tides in the world. The difference between high and low tide here is almost 17 meters. That's the height of a 5-story building. And look, this turbine uses tides to create electricity. See the wheel turning? And some people have used the moon's tides to have fun. Like these people surfing on a tidal river in Great Britain. I say, this is jolly good. Yeah, hang 10, mate. Well, the moon is pretty awesome. It's beautiful to look at, it's our closest neighbor, and it has a strong effect on our planet. So there's just one last thing we have to figure out, and that's the answer to the question that brought me on this lunar quest to begin with.
Why does the moon follow us?
So, Carl, your big answer is... distance! Remember when I said astronauts traveled 400,000 kilometers to reach the moon? Well, that is very, very far away. But these buildings are really close. When I walk down the street, I pass the houses and trees quite quickly. But the moon is so far away that it doesn't seem like you're walking past it. And that's why it seems like the moon follows us. Actually, the moon has some traveling of its own to do, and I'll show you that right now. If you stay in one spot and watch long enough, you'll see that during the night, the moon appears to travel far across the sky because the Earth is turning. See you next time for more Finding Stuff Out. Later. Try to follow me now. I would sure love to go to the moon one day. What about you guys?
Yes! Because I love cheese.
Shh. Listen. Do you hear that? I think there's some kind of creature in my attic. My family insists that they don't hear it, but you hear it, right? I'm not crazy. Maybe your questions about creepy critters will help me find out what it is. Here's the first one from Mateus.
Can animals be evil?
I am the evilest.
No, I'm the evilest.
No, I am.
No, me.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, sorry. But I
found some critters online that really are creepy. Like lampreys. Their mouth is a big ring of teeth. They bite into fish and suck its blood out. A praying mantis mom will kill its kid's dad. And some snakes can fly to make a snake attack. A Komodo dragon can even attack people. And these star-nosed moles just creep me out. I mean, look at them.
Why are creatures so creepy? What's with all the blood-sucking, sneak-attacking, scary-lookingness? Just the thought of eaten by a giant lizard. Uh-oh! Head getting worn. Brain overload. Why are there so many weird and disgusting creatures? Ah! You're gonna make my head explode!
Okay, so lots of things are creepy. But Matea's question was, are they evil? I promise to have the answer by the end of this episode.
Ask a friend.
What creatures do you find creepiest?
A cobra, a caterpillar, a cockroach.
At night, it would be a wolf.
A big snake.
Bed bugs. The black widow, because he can jump right to your face.
I find rattlesnakes pretty creepy.
Sharks.
A giant gorilla. A grizzly bear.
Spiders.
So creepy. Oh, great. Now you've made me even more scared. Let me take another question to settle my nerves.
Why are people scared of spiders?
I think that question's a job for the professionals.
He can tell if they're bugs hiding under your rugs. He can keep away pests, that's why he's the best. Here's Sean!
Hi, Zoe. I brought some insects for you. Can I put them down somewhere?
Yeah, just on the table.
Perfect.
What was that?
What is what?
Phew, it's just you. Your job is getting rid of creepy things in people's houses, right?
That's correct. I'm also an entomologist, and that's a scientist that studies insects. I brought some critters with me today. Not all of them are insects. I have a millipede, I have a centipede, and in here we have a cockroach you can see in the microscope.
Wow, amazing.
I also brought with me a spider for you to look at.
A spider?
Yep, they're not an insect, they're an arachnid because they have 8 legs.
Oh yeah, and an insect has 6.
Correct.
Why are people afraid of spiders?
Well, that's a great question. We really shouldn't be afraid of spiders. They're beneficial. They help to eat insects that are living in our house. But if you have a bad infestation, or maybe you live somewhere where there's a lot of poisonous spiders, we should be concerned.
Speaking about infested, my attic has something in it. It's making this weird chewing sound. Could it be bed bugs?
Probably not bed bugs. They don't make chewing sounds.
I actually have a question about bed bugs.
Why do bed bugs bite?
To answer the question, they bite to get food. So their food is blood. They feed just like mosquitoes do. Would you like to see how they feed?
Sure.
Okay, let me get one here.
Oh, he's biting you.
Does it hurt?
No, not at all. In fact, they inject an anesthetic so you don't feel it.
I don't think a bed bug's making that chewing sound. Can you help me find out what is?
Absolutely. Maybe it's an animal that got inside.
An animal?
Sure, let's go take a look.
So, Sean, did you become an exterminator because you were afraid of bugs?
Actually, I'm not afraid of them. I really like bugs. But when they become a pest and they're in people's houses, I like to help them get rid of those pests. My daughter, Aiden, she really likes to collect insects, too.
Hi, Aiden. So, what did you bring?
Well, I brought some sow bugs and baby ones, and I brought a millipede.
Cool. Where did you find them?
Well, it's a wood pile, and when you tip it over, you see lots of bugs hiding under it.
Did you find them yourself?
Well, I had a little bit of help from my dad.
What do you like about bugs?
They're part of nature, and they're part of the food chain. And they're useful for, like, birds, so they can keep themselves alive.
What do you do with the bugs?
I keep them for a day or two, and then I just let them go.
How do you keep them so they don't die?
Well, you have to get a container that has at least some holes. Then you have to give them food and some moisture.
You can look for bugs just like Aiden. They're everywhere, and they're super cool. Thanks, Aiden.
Welcome. Here's a question from Justin.
Why do cockroaches hide in the dark?
Hey, Sean, how come if you turn on a light, you'll see a roach running in the dark? Why do they like the dark so much?
That's a great question. It's really not just the light, but it's also the vibrations when you enter the room. They think you're a predator, so they run and they try to hide in dark places like this.
That gives me an idea for...
My Great Challenge!
Today's challengers are Aiden and a few of her friends. Andrew. Hi. La. Hi. And Abdul. Hey. You guys have to be roaches and crawl on all four. You have to grab the cookie and take it back to your safe place, which is by the carpets, and then you have to put them in the basket. The team with the most cookies win. Got it?
Yeah!
But there's a trick. You're only safe in the dark, so when I turn the lights back on, I'll be able to swat you, and that means you're out. Are you guys ready?
Yeah!
On your mark, get set, go! Look at all those cockroaches, snatching all those cookies. Orange team is off to a great start. But green team not doing as well. Lights on. Got you. So you're eliminated now. You have to stay on the carpet. For the 3 remaining roaches, get set, go. With fewer cookies, green team is crawling hard to catch up to the orange team, who's quickly finding more cookies. Lights on. Got you. What a break for green team. With orange team out of the cookie hunt, will green team snatch all the rest of the cookies to win? Oh, the green team got a cookie. They're lucky they're in the dark until lights on. Got you. One more creepy roach just walked. Go. And lights on. Oh, I missed you. Go. Come on, go. Lights on. Got you.
Ow. So close. And only she has a cookie though. Yes.
Okay, so I counted the cookies and here are the results. The green team has 14 cookies. And the orange team has 25 cookies. So that means you guys win. Thanks for being on my show and helping me find stuff out. Now, go find more cookies before I swat you! Ah! Hey, Sean, any sign of creepy creatures?
Just this one so far.
But you'll keep looking, right?
Sure thing.
I really want to catch whatever is making that chewing sound. I wonder what it is. I got this really smart question earlier.
Hey Zoe, why don't you just do a computer search for the creepiest animal contest winner?
I'm glad you asked, person who does not at all look like me. And I checked. Well, some things you just can't unsee. And you're about to see them too. He has the creepiest animal, so let's give him a hand and maul. Please welcome biologist Matthew Paminter.
Hi, Zoe. Thanks for inviting me on.
Creepy. These are funny critters. Are they rats?
No, they're called naked mole rats, but they're not actually rats or moles. They're most closely related to porcupines and guinea pigs and chinchillas.
You're so ugly, you're cute. Wow, their teeth are so long.
That's right. They actually use them like shovels when they're digging, and their teeth are outside of their mouths, so they don't get a mouthful of dirt every time they dig a tunnel. Do you want to hold one?
Sure.
There you go. So you can see when they're in the tunnel together that it's really a tight fit, and they'll often end up running right over top of each other.
Cool.
And this guy here, if he gets adventurous, is gonna, oh.
He's going backwards.
That's right.
Do you think they know they look like that weird?
No, they're actually mostly blind, and they live in the dark. And you can see right now, even when they run up against the edge of the tunnel, they act surprised because they can't see that it's coming.
If they're blind, a predator could catch them easily, right?
Well, actually, they rely on their sense of smell to protect themselves. They actually will all roll around in each other's poop, so they all smell the same.
Okay, you might want to take them back.
Well, and that's not even the worst. To get all the nutrients out of their food, they actually eat their own poop. It's like getting 2 meals for the price of 1.
They like that?
They seem to.
Ugh, I think I hear a song coming on.
Naked mole rat, why won't you get dressed? Please put on a shirt or maybe a vest. You don't have to be chic, don't have to have style, but maybe put on pants maybe once in a while. Naked mole rat, you don't seem to care that your wrinkly skin doesn't have any hair. I guess you're just content being naked around with your poop-eating friends and your hole in the ground. Naked mole rat, I don't mean to judge, but you're squinty and weird and think poop tastes like fudge. Blech!
Hey, did you ever think that maybe you're the weird one?
Oh, I never looked at it that way. Naked mole rat, I guess I was wrong. Turns out there's a reason your teeth are so long, and you don't need a coat, cause you live in the dirt. I hope that my song didn't make you feel hurt. Oh yes, I hope my little song didn't make you feel hurt. No hard feelings, right?
There's something in my attic making a chewing sound. You don't think it's a poop-eating naked mole rat, do you?
Probably not, because these guys are only found in Africa.
So why did you like studying them then?
Well, naked mole rats do a lot of things that people can't do. They can survive in environments with really low oxygen, they don't get cancer, and they live really long lives. So there's a lot of really interesting reasons to figure out the biology of how they do that, and then to try to bring it back to people and try to help patients who have problems.
How'd you get attached to them if they're so creepy?
Even though an individual mole rat is maybe not the most attractive animal you've ever seen, when you put them all together, they're pretty cute.
Who'd guess they'd be the life of the party? Thanks for helping me find stuff out.
It's been my pleasure, thank you.
I've got a really fishy question from Joshua.
Can piranhas eat you alive? Flat Earth Corner! I'm Zoe von Zoe, the famous explorer. I said, the famous explorer. That's more like it. When I was exploring the Amazon, I discovered a terrible, man-eating fish. He jumped out of the water and ate a man on my team. It just gobbled him up with his terrible teeth. But I slayed the evil fish, and that's why I'm the bravest explorer in the world. Ah, come on. Hey!
I figured Von Zoe just made that up to get attention.
Hey!
But to answer your question, Joshua, about whether piranhas eat you alive, I checked. And back in the old days when it was hard to travel and send messages, stories about animals in faraway lands got really exaggerated. So I think piranhas wouldn't actually eat a person. Or would it? I'm going to check that out. I'm here at my local aquarium with marine biologist Maude. Hi, Maude.
Hi, Zoe.
So, these are real piranhas?
They're real piranhas, and we're gonna go clean their tank. Follow me.
Wow, there's a lot of them.
Yes, there is.
Oh, they're creepy.
I'm not scared, I'm going in.
Really?
Yeah.
She's going in. I can't watch. Oh, so far so good. Maud is cleaning the tank by vacuuming and scrubbing it. Even though she's in the water surrounded by piranhas, they let her do her thing and keep their distance from her. Looks like they're more afraid of her than she is of them. You made it! You're live!
I am.
So, how come they didn't bite you?
Because I'm not their food. They actually eat bugs, worms, small fish. Sometimes they will eat small mammals that gets in the water, but some of them even eat plants. Fortunately for you, you're not on their menu.
Then how come people always say they're man-eating fish?
It's mostly legends. Like, they might nibble on a dead animal in the water, but they normally won't attack a large animal to kill it. People have been known to swim with piranhas for ages and nothing happens.
Do they make any evil
Ha-ha! Sounds?
No, they don't, but they actually make some kind of barking sound.
Maybe they bark like a dog so cats won't eat them?
Good guess, but probably not.
Thanks for helping me find stuff out.
You're more than welcome.
Joanna has a question that's out of this world.
Are stingrays from outer space?
I've come all the way to outer space to find out. Whoa. Just kidding. I'm still at the aquarium with another marine biologist, Andrew.
Hi, Zoe.
Hi. Joanna thinks stingrays are from outer space, but they're not, are they?
No, they kind of look like they could be, and our southern stingrays even look a little bit like living flying saucers, but stingrays are definitely from Earth.
Then why do they look so creepy?
Well, why don't we hop in the tank and find out?
Wait, this tank? Right now? Cool.
Andrew tells me not to worry. Stingrays do sting, but the ones here at the aquarium have their stingers clipped, so they're safe. It's like clipping a fingernail, so it doesn't hurt them.
Cool. So where's their mouth?
Right underneath their body. So feel free to touch them as they come over. You can pet them nice and gently on their back.
So why are they so flat?
Well, stingrays have a flat shape which helps them hide on the bottom or under the sand to hide from their predators. They've got big eyes on the top of their head, which helps them keep an eye out for any predators that might be trying to sneak up on them. And they've got their mouth on the underside of their body, which helps them find their food, which would also be buried in the sand usually. We don't normally let people do this, but if you want to try feeding one, what you do is you just tuck your finger right inside, just hold this really, really loosely so they can suck it out just like that.
Whoa, that's weird. So are there any other animals that are like them?
Stingrays are actually very closely related to sharks, and they have a lot of features in common. Stingrays and sharks both have teeth which are constantly falling out and regrowing throughout their entire life, although sharks' teeth are a bit sharper. You can kind of think of a stingray as a flattened down shark, with a few modifications.
Speaking of sharks, I'm trying to answer a question whether animals are evil. Do you think sharks or stingrays are evil?
Definitely not. Stingrays have a stinger that they can use to sting, but it's only if they have to survive. And sharks are actually really lazy. They don't want to bite anything they don't have to, and they're only looking for an easy meal. If we didn't have sharks, then there would be too many of the other animals, and they wouldn't have enough food. So sharks help keep the oceans really healthy. They're really just doing what they have to survive, and they're certainly not evil.
Survival again. Thanks for being on my show and helping me find stuff out.
My pleasure.
I think I finally have the answer to Mateus's question. Can animals be evil?
The big answer is... no. Even the evilest, creepiest looking ones are just trying to get through their day.
When a stingray uses its stinger, or roaches scurry around in the dark, they're just trying to protect themselves. And when a lamprey sucks a fish's blood, or a snake flies out of the trees to attack, they're just trying to get a good lunch.
Turns out, even the creepiest things have a reason for what they do. Like a praying mantis, it eats its mate so it has enough food to make babies. So, creatures might be dangerous or even look evil. They're not really evil. They're just trying to survive. You're not harmful, are you? No, you aren't.
Hey, Zoe, I found out what was making that chewing sound.
What is it?
Well, it's black, it has sharp teeth and claws, and it's about this big.
Yikes, get it out of here.
Are you sure?
Of course I'm sure. A puppy? How'd a puppy get in my house? Aww, it has a note. Happy birthday, Zoe. It's a birthday surprise.
No wonder my family pretended they didn't hear the chewing sound.
They wanted him to be a surprise.
You know we could take him home if you're too scared.
Yeah! No, you're not scary. I love him. I'm gonna name you Chewy, because you chew a lot. Well, we solved my mystery, and I answered your question. And I got a puppy. See you next time for more Finding Stuff Out. He sort of sounds like a piranha.